Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 4, Episode 10, The Patriot. I think this was a really good episode. It revealed some pretty interesting secrets. It's reaching a pretty critical moment as far as the whole actual, LMD storyline. And I think everything they did in this episode was very entertaining. It's going to lead to some interesting emotions for these next couple of episodes as it's revealed to more people like, hey, turns out Director Mace isn't as crazy epic as we thought it was. He's basically a nobody. I mean, really, in this episode, they kind of boil it all the way down. Like, at first, it's like, okay, we have the assassination attempt, and that fails, and it's like, alright, there's something with this briefcase. We find out the secret behind the briefcase, and it's actually the fact that it's pretty much a super soldier serum. It's not that, which I thought it was definitely going to be that because it's the Marvel Universe. Everything is based off of the super soldier serum, and I thought that's what it was going to be, but it's actually based off of Daisy's father, where it gave him, crazy super strength, but as they put it, or as Talbot put it, we took all the bad stuff out, or mostly. So I don't know if that means there are going to be some sort of ramifications if he ever stops using this stuff permanently, if his body, will have withdrawals. But it's a serum that allows him to have super strength, and I thought that was a very interesting move. So I thought that was pretty cool. Something that I didn't realize until like right before I did this review, because I was looking up to make sure I knew the number of the episode. So people mentioned that this episode may have had a tie-in to Luke Cage from the assassination attempt, and I knew it was something in that was very familiar to me. I just didn't connect it to Luke Cage. I'm like, something about this is like insanely familiar with the way it's happening, and it excuse me, it was the weapon, specifically the bullet that was used, that has an interesting tie-in to Luke Cage. It may not be the case, but I like to think that it is. Them kind of showing like, hey, this is definitely, we're showing at least, in minute ways, this is a connection to the actual universe, the rest of the cinematic universe. So I thought that was very cool once I read that, and it's interesting to see that. It's a small thing, but like I said, for me, because Luke Cage came out like over the summer, it was kind of like, I know this is something, but I can't remember what it is. And that's what it was. It was like subconsciously it was in there, like, this is Luke Cage sort of thing. So thought that was very cool. For those of you who haven't seen Luke Cage, I won't spoil exactly what it is, but basically the bullet, it's a drilling bullet that explodes. So I thought that was cool. I was like, okay, and when I read it, I was like, that's why I had that sense of like familiarity with it. I was like, something about this, it's very familiar, I just can't put my finger on it. So I thought that was cool, and hopefully that is the case. I know there's some stuff out there where this show is still like a what if situation, where they say technically it's still not a part of the universe or anything like that, the movie universe, and it's kind of just a what if this happened sort of situation. But I like to think that's not the case, even though they like flat out said that is definitely the case. I still like to think against it because it's cooler that way. But the way the episode played out, I really enjoyed it. So we have, the director, he's out, Mack is out, Coulson is out on this ship. Whoever Burrows, the random dude, he gets sucked right out of the plane. And it was funny, as the episode was going on, and he's like, man, and he stands up, I was like, he should probably sit down. I was thinking that, and before I could even finish that thought, boom, huge explosion, and he gets sucked out of the jet. I was like, holy crap, he's dead. And there goes the briefcase, which I knew was going to be a big part of the episode. I was like, there's no way in the world that they're going to talk about the briefcase like how they did in the beginning of the episode. And then there's nothing else to it. I was like, this is definitely going to be a big part of the episode. And like I said, I love the way it played out. We have our characters, just lost in the forest. There's almost like 4 storylines going on at once in this episode. So we have our main story where we have our characters who get lost in the woods. We have the other side of the story where we have the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents and what they're doing, which is trying to locate them. And then there's kind of multiple stories within that. So we have, of course, Radcliffe's deal where he has May locked up, and she kind of breaks out in this episode, but she gets put back down, and he realizes he can't give her the crappy spa treatment. He has to give her something that's closer to who she actually is, like an action sort of sequence. So they go through that scenario. Then of course we have the LMD version of May, who doesn't realize that she is the LMD version of May, and she goes through this fight and stuff towards the end of the episode, and she gets cut. And she looks at the wound, and she sees metal underneath her arm, and it's like, what the F is going on? So, of course, with Radcliffe having built it on a subconscious level where she's more advanced because she doesn't know that she's an LMD, I cannot wait to see how that plays out, because granted, he can of course control her once all is said and done, and that seems to be the focus of the next episode. It seems insanely chaotic, and I don't know if he's the one who set up S.H.I.E.L.D. to seem like, you know, an actual bad organization or what the case is, but somebody does in this next episode, and things just seem to get excessively chaotic based off of what they show from the promo. But it's really hard to say, like, is she gonna reveal it to someone else before Radcliffe even finds out that it's her, or is she gonna go straight to him, and then it's gonna be like the crazy robot scenario where she realizes she's not an actual human being, and then just she goes nuts and like tries to kill him or something crazy like that. So I'm excited to see where that goes for sure. And then we have the other side of technically the Radcliffe storyline with Fitz, where he's trying to figure out what went wrong with Ada, and everyone else is kind of just like, no, let's leave that alone and stuff. But he downloads basically her identity to his phone, which I believe is going to lead him to realize that it was in the programming, that nothing was actually wrong. And I thought it was very interesting that they kind of went the way that they did with it, because they have a scene where Fitz-Simmons are talking, and Simmons is like, you know, it's in the programming, excuse me, it's like in the programming and stuff. And I was thinking, the whole point of the story was she went crazy after getting a hold of the book. And I was so surprised that that's all they seemed to talk about. Like, they skipped over the whole fact that she touched a magic book, that could do anything to her. Like, it's magic versus technology. And I just thought it was very interesting that it was like, they seem to just forget about the book having any effect. And it's like, yeah, he just screwed up and made a bad robot. And I'm like, I feel like the whole point of his story is, you know, his fake story with the first Ada was the fact that the book is what made her go crazy. But they seem to have forgotten about that. I thought that was kind of weird. I was like, I feel like the book, based on them obviously not knowing it was a trick, you think that they'd be like, yeah, it was definitely the book. But, you know, still, I understand not, you know, waking her up and stuff, because she would still be infected as far as, you know, the actual head of her would still have the same processes and stuff because of the book. But it seemed like they were just completely ignoring that, like, and I feel like Fitz was too, where it was like he was ignoring the fact that it wasn't programming. Like, all they talked about was like, yeah, it's just Radcliffe did it wrong, and it's like, but the magic book thing was what everyone thought did it wrong in the first place. And now it's almost like they just don't even think about it anymore. Like, yeah, it was definitely only bad programming. And I just thought that was really weird that they would feel that way after the whole point of her going nuts, or seemingly, based off of Radcliffe's story, was because she held, or, you know, even read the Darkhold. And I was like, that's just very interesting that they kind of forgot about the whole magical element of what actually made her go wrong. But because they forgot about that, they'll probably find out that there was never anything wrong and that she was doing exactly what she was supposed to do. So either May is going to get to Radcliffe first, the LMD version, probably the real version. Who knows? She keeps breaking out now. Like, it was the first time in this episode, but they show that she does it again in the promo, so we'll see how that plays out. But either one of the Mays is going to end up getting to Radcliffe, or we're going to see what happens with Fitz and how fast he ends up working on the data and realizing that there actually wasn't anything wrong, that she was programmed to do exactly what she did. So that's kind of how it is. You got like 3 characters. I don't think the human May is actually going to be able to do too much with Ada being there, unfortunately. So we'll see how that plays out. But I love that there were so many different stories going on in this episode, and I thought they all blended perfectly. And like I said, as far as Mace and the way they did his character, I was like, wow, he's nothing. Like, he was just a random soldier, and he's not inhuman. Talbot basically made a fake inhuman because that's kind of all there was really the only options. Daisy took off, and that was kind of it. That was the only person they had that was a permanent character there, because Yo-Yo, she's kind of temporary still. I wish I could remember the other guy's name, but he left after he killed somebody by accident, and that kind of, you know, that freaked him out. So he was like, I can't do it anymore, so he left. So, you know, they make an inhuman out of this guy who was seen as a hero, and then we find out he's not even a hero. Like, he literally was like, I'm out of here, I want to save myself, and then he tripped and just happened to have fallen over a woman, And so he had the cool picture pose, and that's why he became a hero. And I guess that was the reference um, that they made early on. I think it was in like the second episode or something that Simmons made, where it's like, I could start telling people the truth about what really happened there. So I guess because she has pink or whatever the clearance levels are now, I guess she knew that part of the secret, but she didn't know about him not actually being inhuman. So I thought that was very interesting. I was like, wow, this guy is basically nothing. He's not only not inhuman, he's also not even a hero. He just tripped and was in a cool picture pose, and that was pretty much all there was to it. So it shed some very interesting light on him, and it made him very, I mean, not just human, like in the sense of he's not inhuman, but it made him very human in the sense that he seemed super humble by the end of this episode, where, you know, like he was siding with Coulson and stuff, and he asked Talbot, he's like, can we have the room? And he's like, you know, please, like, I kind of need to really talk to him about, you know, what just happened. And I was like, man, this might make me like this character a lot more now, where with his secret being out, he might not have such a facade of, yeah, I'm in charge and this and that. He might be a lot more honest with them now that they know what they're working with. If he can't get his serum, there's a lot of elements that come with that. He's not going to have super strength. They're going to have to make sure that he has the super strength every time he does like a public appearance, that sort of thing. It has to be like right before, or it can't be right before, I guess, because you just never know with, you know, what might happen. But I like what they did with his character, and I'm excited to see where they, you know, how they advance him after this point with everyone knowing his secret. So really looking forward to that. But I think this is a really good episode. I'm very excited for all the chaos that appears to be coming up in the next episode. But I would love to know what you guys thought about this one, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And honestly, I just have to ask, what do you guys think about Mace now? Because, like I said, for me personally, I think he's just humbled. I mean, how could you not be? Everyone found out you're not actually superhuman, and then because he still didn't even have to admit what he did to Coulson, where he wasn't even a hero in the former situation, like any of that stuff. He didn't have to admit that, but he did. He's like, you know what? All cards on the table. This is really how all this started to begin with. I shouldn't even be here. He didn't even have, he's not even a soldier. He had basic training, like they mentioned that too. I always thought he was at least a soldier or something. And he's like, yeah, I have like basic training and stuff. And I was just like, wow, he's like nothing. He's seriously nothing at all. He was just some dude who was kind of involved with the military, I guess, and then hero mode. And that was it. It just propelled him far beyond anything he really should have had. And I like that idea that now that, you know, that's all on the table, he might be a better character. So that's how I feel about it. But like I said, would love to know how you guys feel about his character now and this episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.